Hello and welcome back to the Volvo project part 4. If you've been watching the series so far, you'll know that we gave its first wash after 8 years of standing still. We then went through the very long list of what needs doing, and in the last episode we repaired the C's front calipers. The next job on the list is to sort out the charging system. The current alternator seems to be kaput, so in this video I'm going to be removing it, seeing if I can get the old one working and replacing with new auxiliary belts. So the first thing we need to do when dealing with anything electrical is disconnect the negative terminal from the battery. Then we put the car up in the air and remove the bottom engine cover so that we can access the alternator here, which from what I can tell has 2 securing bolts and an adjuster screw. But first we need to take off the power steering belt. There is a securing nut which needs to be loosened first, before winding out the adjustment screw so that it's loose enough to remove the belt. Then do the same thing on the other side to loosen off the alternator. Now I know it would have been much simpler to just cut the belts off, but the new ones hadn't arrived just yet, so I knew I had to reuse them. The first alternator belt comes off quite easily, but as it's a dual pulley, the second one's a bit harder to get at. Much like the power steering belt, it's quite cracked, so we are definitely going to need to replace these. Next I'm trying to unscrew all the connections on the alternator itself, but you'll see here it's quite fiddly, and I wanted to see it straight on so I could clearly see where the leads go on the alternator. After this, I removed the 2 securing bolts securing it onto the engine block itself, and then was able to remove the alternator through the bottom. Now on a bench, the easiest thing to check are the carbon brushes, and on taking them out off camera, one of them was seized up completely, so I loosened this up, put it back together, and here we are spinning it up and it's creating power. So we put it back on, tested it, and it was charging, but a few days later my battery was flat when I went to start it, and of course the alternator wasn't working again. I tried replacing the brushes completely, but it wasn't having any of it. So here we are a few days later with the new belts and a brand new alternator. Comparing the two side by side, I just wanted to make sure everything was transferred over, including the mounting bracket and then the capacitor. Once fitted, we can maneuver the new alternator into place, connect up all the electrical contacts whilst I can still see it, and then refitting the 2 securing bolts. Here are the new belts to replace the cracked old ones, and they just feed on quite easily over the fan. Then you need to loop it around the crankshaft pulley, the cam pulley, and then around the alternator itself. Now the first belt went on quite easily. The second one required a bit of persuasion by turning the engine over whilst feeding the new belt on. Now after tightening up the belt, a quick test revealed that the charging system's working as you'd expect. Then it's just putting on a new power steering belt. I am actually installing the old one here because I didn't film myself putting the new one on, but it's definitely been replaced. Then the engine cover goes back on after a quick clean, and that's another job ticked off the list. So now we can lower it down, knowing that the charging system is all good. Now in a recent poll I put out, I asked for you guys to vote on what I should name the Volvo 740, and we have a clear winner with Big Betsy. So thank you very much for your vote, and in the next video we're going to be giving the old girl a full service. Oil, filters, spark plugs, and hopefully I can sort out the rough idle issue at the same time. Thank you very much for watching, and a big thank you as always to the chaps down at Wayland's Volvo in Reading. You guys are awesome. And a special mention to some other YouTubers. They have some really cool stuff on their channels, including old project Volvos, so make sure you check them out.